Hi guys, what's up? It's Alex here, and today we're here to talk about a video game sort of crisis in a way. That the racing game genre over the last couple of years has really seen a lot of less sales in terms of its games, and I think that is slightly worrying, especially if you're a Formula 1 fan and you're looking at these stats I'm going to show you in a minute. It's kind of worrying to see how many less people are sort of buying the games year in, year out. And let's have a look at these stats, because I'm not going to lie guys, they're quite surprising, especially when you realise how much F1 2010 was a success and you look down to 2014 and wow, it's a big change. So starting off with PS3, here are the sales for F1 2010, 1.33 million, which I'd say is a reasonable amount considering it's a niche genre in terms of racing games. Going on to 2011, that number has dropped to 1.2 million. And then we go ahead to F1 2012, that number's dropped to nearly 1 million. 1.04 million is where it sits in 2012. 2013 is where it drops dramatically, now nearly half of what it was in 2012. Then looking to F1 2014, it's nearly half again. But then you've got to wonder about the F1 2014 stat, guys. That game obviously hasn't been out a year or whatever. The stats will still be rolling in, but you'd say the majority of the sales in terms of F1 2014 would have been in the first 3 or 4 months, which we've been through now. So you've got to say 0.33. It might go up to about 0.4. But I'm assuming it's not going to be anywhere near F1 2013. So if you think that's surprising, let's have a look at this on Xbox now. Didn't do quite as well on Xbox as it does on PS3, but still 0.87 million is still quite a big amount. Going on to 2011, that number's dropped to 0.71 million. As you'd probably expect, it would go down every year as less players would want to buy the game. Going on to 2012, that number's dropped to less than half a million now at 0.49 million. And then going on to 2013, that number's dropped again down to nearly 0.31 million. And that's looking like a massive thing about the decrease in sales. And you look at 2014, that's half again. But as I said, with the PS3 version, you'd expect that number to rise probably about to the 0.2 mark, but still, that's still a way off of what 2013 was at. But I think we should compare what the sales were like in 2010 to 2014 here. 0.87 million in 2010 were the sales overall for the global sales, and then in 2014 that number's down to 0.14 million, which is about 7 times less than it was back in 2010, so a massive drop. So at this point of my research I was thinking, is this just Formula 1 games, or is there something on maybe a bigger scale in terms of racing games was this happening to, or is it maybe just all games that this is happening to? So I decided to look at one of the biggest sort of yearly releases, or mostly yearly releases in terms of racing games, and that is Need for Speed. So we're going to be comparing the PS3 of the 2012 game, which was Need for Speed Most Wanted, and that was 2.73 million in overall sales for PS3. And look at the 2013 game, which was Need for Speed Rivals, which had dropped significantly to over half of what the previous game was. So that is a massive jump. So this got me thinking, it can't just be the Formula 1 game this is happening to, so maybe it's unfair to criticise Codemasters for the drop in sales, because when you make a yearly game, surely some people are going to fall off the bandwagon of wanting to buy the game year in, year out, and I can understand that, because obviously there isn't a massive difference between, look at 2010 to 2014, there isn't a huge amount of difference. So I was thinking, is this sort of recent decline of sort of the last year or two, the massive decline, is it due to next gen consoles and people not particularly wanting to buy a game on the old generation of consoles? Because it's been over a year now since people have been getting their Xbox Ones and their PlayStation 4s, and obviously PCs have been upgrading at the same time. It's been about a year since that happened, and I'm thinking, is it just that pure fact that people don't want to, you know, fire up their Xbox for one game now? Because I'm not too sure whether it's a mistake on Codemasters' part of just releasing Formula 1 2014 on the old generation of consoles, because it really did take a big hit in terms of their sales over the year before, and then the year before, and the year before. But I've got to say, I'm not making this video to hate on Codemasters or anything, because I generally do enjoy their games. Obviously I would like to see a bit more improvement year in, year out in terms of the game, and how it's actually improving, not just maybe being a bit sort of similar for year in, year out. I do want to see that improvement, but in general I don't dislike the game, but I do find that it is getting repetitive, and I can find you guys as well commenting it down below. You don't want to see the same series year in, year out, because it's just the same. So I'm thinking, is it the racing games are getting a bit too similar? Are the companies getting forced into making a sort of a yearly game? which is actually not benefiting them, because it means they've sort of got to put decent effort into a yearly game when they could actually be putting really good effort into a game which they release maybe every 2 years, for example. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be thinking at this stage, well, that's going to be difficult because Formula 1 changes each year. Well, there is the option of just doing a DLC, which some games do, actually do, where they make, for example, F1 2013, and instead of releasing F1 2014, they just, update it with a 2014 patch, or maybe even a DLC, which would cost about £10. At the end of the day, it might be better for both parties. It would be cheaper for us, and it might be cheaper for those guys to develop as well. And I'm not too sure what the actual sort of reason behind this big sale loss is, but I'm thinking a bit of it is down to the next generation of consoles, also the fact that gaming is getting a bit sort of repetitive, and the yearly games aren't really working out too well in recent years, and I feel that I do need to really make it a big improvement in 2015 for this game series to keep going. But yeah, that's it, guys. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed Codemasters games, and hopefully they will make a massive improvement in 2015. And yeah, hopefully this video was enjoyable to watch. And yeah, thanks again. It's been AxeMad here. Goodbye.